Today we're going to end up talking about labor unions. As you watch the Triangle Shirtwaist factory fire video, that was one of the many things that started leading to labor unrest and the need for labor unions to have better working conditions, better wages for their employees. Again, this is in 1911. You have definitely a bunch more before this. You had the Pullman strike in 1894. You know, the Haymarket Affair in Chicago in 1886. So you have this labor unrest throughout the Industrial Revolution, where these factory owners are trying to make the most money they can. So they're working their people, not paying them very much. They're working them all the time. They're working in bad conditions. It's just a very, very tough situation for many, many people. So labor unions, you start to see rise on this. And a labor union is an association of workers that seeks to improve its members' wages, working conditions, and benefits. Again, we'll go through some of them as well, but the West Liberty Education Association, which is a union for teachers here in West Liberty, I am part of that. It's a labor union. This is where we're trying to better the wages we have, working conditions, and different benefits that we might have. A lot of definitions in this slide presentation. Craft union, this is where skilled workers in a specific trade or industry. Example of this might be a carpentry or printing. They're in a specific trade. That'd be a craft union. An industrial union would be all workers in an industry, regardless of the job or skill level. And one of the first ones that we had of this, and again, this is going to be maybe any skill level, no matter what it is, it's going to be an industrial union that you have that. One of the first ones we had of an industrial union being American Federation of Labor, or the AFL. They're the first permanent federation. They were semi-skilled and unskilled workers, and they were led by Samuel Gompers. There's a bunch of craft unions together in this AFL, led by Samuel Gompers, semi-skilled, unskilled workers. Another union was the Congress of Industrial Organizations, or CIO. This is where, this was led by Eugene Debs. He was also the founder of the American Railway Union. This is, again, late 1800s. And again, this was formed later, but this they ended up forming the AFL-CIO. The CIO was more of skilled workers. A local union, this is members of a union in a particular factory, company, or geographic area. Again, the West Liberty Education Association would be an example of a local union. That's in the West Liberty School District. The Iowa State Education Association would be geographically the state of Iowa. We are part of the West Liberty Education Association is part of the Iowa State Education Association. So that is another union. That'd be a local union because it's geographical area. A closed shop, this is where companies could hire only union members. So if they had two people they wanted to hire, they could only hire a union member. They couldn't hire somebody outside of the union. Now, some of that changed after a while. A union shop was new employees must join a union after a specific period of time. So what happened here is some states started outlawing or banning these closed shops, and so the unions went to a union shop where this new employee must join a union after a certain amount of time. An agency shop, then, you're not required to join a union, but you have to pay the union dues. Okay? To be part of the West Liberty Education Association, I have to pay a due every month. We talk about that budgeting session, there was some dues you had to take out of there. That'd be one of them. $70, $75 a month is what I pay out of my paycheck to be part of the West Liberty Education Association union. Okay, so you have those definitely dues. The agency shop here says you're not required to join that union, but you still have to pay union dues. Example here with the teachers union, not all teachers are part of the union. But our union representatives still bargain for wages for all teachers. So this agency shop would say, you're not part of the union, but you still have to pay the union due because we're basically trying to get better wages for you, even though you're not part of the union. That's an agency shop. Some national unions here for you that you might know. The UAW, maybe you heard of them before, the United Auto Workers. The USW, the United Steel Workers. The NEA, the National Education Association. These are national unions, of course. They're going to be nationwide. The International Brotherhood of Teamsters would be another national union. Just a couple examples here for you of these national unions. And there's so many unions out there. I reference a lot with the, in sports, professional sports, NFLPA, the NBA Players Association, those are unions as well. So when we start negotiating, because that's going to happen between the company and the union, you're going to have the negotiations for contracts. We call that collective bargaining. And this is a process in which union and company representatives meet to negotiate a new labor contract. So for example, the representatives from the WLEA would meet with the representatives from the school board, and they would try to hammer out a new contract. That's called collective bargaining, and otherwise known as a CBA, or collective bargaining agreement. Now, maybe they can't come to an agreement. So if they can't, they bring in a mediator. A mediator is a third party that comes in to try and negotiate both sides here. And they might come to a decision, they may not. But if they do come to a decision, that is non-binding. Okay, they don't have to go with that decision. They could walk away and say, nope, I'm done. That's it. I'm not going with that. That's mediation. Arbitration is binding. This is usually a judge brought in to make a determination on who is going to get the contract and what contract they use. So arbitration is a third party once again, but it is binding. A mediation is third party, but is not binding. A strike, this is a deliberate work stoppage by workers to force an employer to give in to their demands. I'm sure many of us have heard of a strike before. Again, this is another way to try and get the company to agree to your demands. But the company could also do a lockout. This is where they close down the business to pressure a union into accepting employment conditions. So they might lock out the union. This happened many years ago down in Muscatine. I believe it was a GPS. And they locked the union out. And the union employees ended up not going back to work. Or if they did, they went on, they're basically scabs. They broke the strike and then lockout, and they went back to work usually for a cheaper amount of money than what they were asking for. So a lockout is also a viable option for the employers. An injunction, this is a court order to keep a union from striking and picketing. Why would this happen? Well, it might be a national emergency or national safety. Example here would be Teddy Roosevelt back in the early 1900s. There was going to be a coal miner strike, late October, November, into December. The coal miners were going to strike, and Teddy Roosevelt signed an injunction in this court order. The reason he did this is because back then, that's how people heated their homes, with coal. So they felt that if people don't have coal because of low supply due to a coal miner strike, that some people could freeze to death, and they don't want that to happen. So the president jumped in and signed an injunction. Picketing, this is an act of employees carrying signs that call attention to a labor strike with the goal of arousing public sympathy. I'm sure we've all seen these around, carrying signs, trying to get sympathy for their cause. People might honk on the street, cheer for the people striking or picketing, but usually it associates with a strike. Some union management relations, so this would be like the union with maybe a supervisor. Would be a grievance. A grievance is a formal complaint made by a union if it feels one member of a class of its members has been treated inappropriately. So again, for example, you have my boss come in and berate me and verbally abuse me. I could go through my union and file a grievance. It's a formal complaint made by me. Seniority, this is a worker's length of service with an employer. A lot of times this does come in with unions into giving somebody a chance to keep their job. If we have to cut anybody or fire anybody, usually they go with the non-senior people that they would let go. Seniority would keep their jobs. All right, this is a graph here of a decline of unions since 1983. It actually has been declining steadily since a high of 35% in 1945. So you can see that it's gone downhill ever since then. Again, you had the Industrial Revolution, you had the early 1900s, that union membership was going up. You had 45% joining the union. I believe this would be of labor force employees. And notice it's gone down steadily since 1983. It was 20%. 2015, my latest data there, it's below 12%. Maybe you're hovering around 11.5. Okay. So it just proves that union membership has definitely declined over the years. And there's a lot to that. Maybe unions don't have to fight so much for the workers' rights. Many more people and business owners maybe more cognizant and aware of that they have to pay their employees a better wage. They have to give them better working conditions because other people are, and therefore they might lose those employees and go somewhere else. So that may be a reason for the decline of union membership.